It's time. We're gonna try that again. It's time to talk about something very, very important. My favorite movie, Zootopia. Okay, so when I say it's my favorite movie, what I mean is that it's my favorite Disney movie to date. After I was done watching Zootopia for the first time, I had a few questions. I accidentally memorized the entire script of Zootopia just to prove that I know what I'm talking about. From memory, the license plate from Zootopia is 29THD03. Nick Wilde is 32 years old, and Flash's license plate is Fast Animal without the vowels. Judy and Nick are following this case of a missing mammal named Emmett Otterton. As they go along looking for him, they start to figure out that there's a bigger plot going on and that all of these missing mammals are predators who are going savage. They later find out, after sort of solving that case, there's more to it and that predators are being targeted with a serum that makes them go savage. I realized that the only reason Judy figured out about the night howler serum was because she heard the phrase night howler. She heard it from Monches, who heard it from Emmett Otterton. Mr. Monches tells Judy and Nick that when Emmett Otterton went savage in his car, he just kept yelling, "The night howlers, the night howlers." My question was, after Emmett got shot in the neck with the serum, how did he know what he got shot with? How did he know what the night howlers were? Emmett Otterton knew what the night howlers were because of something that's repeated 3 times in the movie, twice by dialogue and once by document that we see on the screen. Emmett Otterton is a florist. Mrs. Otterton says, "My husband's a florist." Mr. Big says, "Meh. Otterton was my florist. He's like a part of the family." And then once more, when Judy is looking through Otterton's case file, we see occupation florist. Emmett Otterton works with flowers and he works with the night howlers, otherwise known as Mendicampium hyacinthus. He knows what it is that he got shot with. But here's the question. In addition to that, we see that the sheep that shot him was waiting on the side of the freeway, and this sheep's name is Doug, by the way. Do we really think that Doug was just waiting on the side of the freeway for a car to pass by that happened to have its window rolled down, that happened to have a predator in the back seat that he could shoot with a clear shot? I don't think so. Mr. Otterton was targeted, as well as Mr. Monches. We know that they went after Mr. Monches and they shot him right before he was going to tell Judy and Nick more about what he learned from Emmett Otterton. Mr. Monches had just told Judy and Nick just the phrase, night howlers. That pivotal moment is the only reason why they were able to solve the true case by the end of the movie. Mr. Monches knew too much because Emmett was a florist and knew what the night howlers were. So that's why Mr. Monches was targeted. But why was Emmett targeted? Because it's not like they targeted all florists in all of Zootopia. If we recall, Mr. Big said, "Otterton was my florist. He's like a part of the family. He called me and said he had something important to discuss. That's why I sent that car to pick him up." They kind of just like say, "Oh, he had something important he was going to tell Mr. Big," but they never like talk about it anymore after that. Emmett Otterton knew about the plot and that the night howlers were specifically making the predators go savage. And of course, Emmett Otterton is very close with Mr. Big, who has a lot of power and is known for being able to protect certain people. So of course, Emmett Otterton would go to Mr. Big for this information. He's like a part of the family. For the sake of helping Zootopia, or at least making sure that he himself doesn't go savage, Otterton was going to Mr. Big for protection, but he didn't get there in time. Bellwether and her gang found out that Emmett Otterton was about to go to Mr. Big and knew about their plot. So that's why they had a sheep stationed on the freeway, not waiting for just any car to pass by, but waiting for Emmett Otterton. Kind of like when Bellwether arrives at the police station just in time to give Judy Hopps the case of Emmett Otterton. Also, why? Chief Bogo also says that City Hall is just like pressing on the police station so hard to find these missing mammals. City Hall is led by the mayor and the assistant mayor. Both Lionheart and Bellwether are behind the missing mammals, or at least know what's happening to them, and neither of them want to be caught. So why are they pressing on City Hall to find these missing mammals? Bellwether said to Judy and Nick when she thought she won that she framed Lionheart and she could frame them too. Did you though? Did she really frame Lionheart? I mean, she didn't really do anything. She just kind of let it happen. She kind of was keeping her hands clean and keeping out of that whole ordeal, except she did frame him. When Bellwether first meets Judy Hopps, one of the first things she says, "Congratulations, Officer Hopps. You know, it's a proud day for all of us little guys," talking about prey. We know by the end of the movie that Bellwether originally intended for Judy Hopps to be on her team. She liked Judy Hopps because they were alike in the sense that they were both members of the prey family and they both wanted to make a difference and stand up for prey. However, not in the same way. And even though Judy was partial to predators throughout the movie, she slowly learns that that's not okay, and she learns to get past that. So Bellwether trusts Judy enough. She sees her new rookie energy and wants to harness that and point it towards solving the missing mammal case, which will lead Judy straight to Lionheart. And Bellwether trusts that Judy's blindsidedness against the predators will let Judy just believe that that's the case and not look any deeper. With her eagerness to solve a case, as soon as she thinks that she's solved it, she's good, which she was for a solid 5 minutes of that movie. It was only because she heard about the night howlers that she finally made the connection after she already quit her job at the police station. So Bellwether didn't want to get rid of Judy. She wanted Judy on her team, but she had to manipulate her a little bit first. Bellwether is pulling all the strings here. She gave Judy the case. She helped her with the cameras. Bellwether helped steer her straight towards Lionheart, expecting Judy not to go deeper and find Bellwether behind the big mystery. So then comes the other question: why was Bellwether there at the police station right at the exact moment that Judy needed help to get the case? Well, what did Judy just do? What was she in Chief Bogo's office for? She had just captured Duke Weaselton from stealing a bunch of moldy onions, which Judy Hopps says, actually that's Mindy Campion Polycynthius. And later in the movie, they go and corner Duke, asking him why he was going around with night howlers. Duke was Bellwether's supplier for the night howlers, or at least one of them that we know of. So when Bellwether hears that her supplier didn't succeed, and she hears at the police station that Duke Weaselton was caught, she realizes, oh dang, my supplier just got caught. I better get down to the police station and see what's going on. And of course, she gets down there. She sees what's going on. She realizes Judy caught her supplier. Number one thing is she realizes that Judy has spirit and is willing to actually do something on the police force, which is exactly what Bellwether's looking for in order to get somebody on this case. And so, of course, she goes up to Chief Bogo's office. She hears from Mrs. Otterton that Judy just accepted the case to find Mr. Otterton. And then Bogo opens the door and she realizes that Chief Bogo is about to say something else. But before he can say anything, she quickly texts Lionheart and seals the deal and lets Judy have the case. Bellwether really is rooting for Judy the whole time because she wants Lionheart to get caught, which will put herself in power. Now, we've delved a lot into Zootopia in itself. It's now time to talk about how Zootopia fits in with all the other Disney movies. Honestly, Zootopia is probably one of the hardest movies to fit into a Disneyverse theory. One of my questions when I first watched Zootopia was, did humans exist before the animals? And if they did, do the animals know of their existence? In Zootopia, the answer to humans existing before them is yes. And there's evidence, not just in this movie, but in movies that come before Zootopia, including Chicken Little, Robin Hood, and a little less well-known one, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. If you don't know Bedknobs and Broomsticks, it came out in about the same time period as Mary Poppins, so it was a very early Disney movie. Our main protagonist, Miss Price, she is a witch in practice, trying to build up to learn this spell that she needs. She enchants one of the Bedknobs on their bed to magically take them wherever they want to go. To find the missing spell that they need, this eventually leads them to learn about Astaroth, who is an ancient wizard that wrote this book that all of these spells are from. Unfortunately, late in his life, Astaroth was doing experiments on animals to try to make them more human-like. So they would walk on two legs and they would wear clothes. Is this starting to sound a little familiar? He made them too human, and the animals revolted, killed Astaroth, stole his star and many other things, and sailed away, never to be seen again. According to legend, they landed on a mystical island. They used the magic bed to travel to the island, and they find all of these animals in an animated world, kind of a lot like Mary Poppins, actually. If we're going through the Disney timeline, we have an island of anthropomorphic animals who have been there for a while, who originated from a wizard who enchanted them, and who have had human visitors. In fact, on the island, when Miss Price and her gang first get there, they accidentally get fished up out of the lagoon by a fisherman bear, or by a fisher bear. And when he sees them, he goes, people, oh, what scurvy luck. He points them to a sign and he says, can't you read reading? Can't you read reading? It's what I ask myself every day. And he reads the sign and he says, no peopling allowed. So the animals know about the humans. They originated from the humans and they don't like humans. However, they adopt humans' cultures and their societal and technological advances. However, in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, we see anthropomorphic fish, we see anthropomorphic reptiles, monkeys, birds, and mammals. As we continue down the chronological path of these anthropomorphic animal Disney movies, less and less types of animals show up. By the time we get to Zootopia, it is only land mammals. There's no fish, reptiles, amphibians, birds, or primates. They're all gone. There aren't any hooved animals there either. There is a deleted scene where Judy sees a horse in the ice cream shop, but they took that out. And there's a reason for that too. So the next one from Bedknobs and Broomsticks, by my best guess, is actually Chicken Little. Now I know a lot of people are like, what? It would totally be Robin Hood. That's so obvious. In fact, Robin Hood would probably take place before Bedknobs and Broomsticks because that's during World War II, right? The answer to that is no, because Robin Hood is actually just a play. It's a play put on by animals telling the story of Robin Hood. At the very beginning, the rooster, Alan Adale, he breaks the fourth wall and he speaks to the audience and saying, well, you've probably heard like the story of Robin Hood a bunch of different times, a bunch of different versions. But we animals in the animal kingdom, we know how it really went. In the opening credits of the movie Robin Hood, as like the little song is playing that leads to Alan Adale, it's almost like an entire cast being introduced. It doesn't say Robin Hood voiced by this real life voice actor. It says Robin Hood voiced by this person, a fox, or Little John voiced by this person, a bear. So it's a play, or at least a movie, being put on by the animals, and they're portraying the story of Robin Hood with as much accuracy as they can, which, as far as we know, the animals can be pretty accurate. I mean, we see them mimicking human technology the entire time. Because it's a play, it's hard to place Robin Hood chronologically. In Chicken Little, we have a fish, a duck, a turkey, a pig. I mean, the main character and his dad, they're chickens. And by the time we get to Robin Hood, there are only 3 birds that we see throughout the entire movie, and no fish. There's still reptiles. Chicken Little, Robin Hood probably don't happen too far apart from each other. Because Robin Hood is a cast of animal actors, we can't really draw too much on that as far as what species are there. Probably the fish went out first because we see like a whole place of fish in Bedknobs and Broomsticks. The only anthropomorphic fish we see through Robin Hood and Chicken Little is fish from Chicken Little. Like that's his name. We see more and more species slowly kind of drop off from the population as the chronology of the anthropomorphic animal kingdom continues on. Now here's the evidence for humans. We have the evidence for humans in Bedknobs and Broomsticks. It's not even evidence, it's just there. In Robin Hood, it's also kind of just there. They know of the story of Robin Hood. Literally, Alan Adale is like, we in the animal kingdom know how the story actually went. He specifies the animal kingdom. The animal writers of this play know that there's more than just the animal kingdom out there. They're talking about humans. In Chicken Little, they are still using all the same human technology. I mean, they also have music from humans. They're singing to the Spice Girls. And in addition to that, during the beginning scene of the movie, there's a bunch of animals in a theater watching Indiana Jones. The animals in Chicken Little also know the existence of humans. They also know of the existence of aliens. Zootopia is the toughest one to find evidence of humans, but that also makes sense because it's the one that takes place the furthest in the future. The longer they're away from humans, the less they're going to think about them. There are 3 key pieces of evidence that I found to prove the existence of humans in Zootopia. 1, the Zootopia sign for currency is a Z with lines through it, which obviously is a parody of our dollar sign in the United States. At one point in the movie, when Judy and Nick visit Mr. Big's place, Mr. Big has a bunch of polar bear henchmen, right? Because they're mafia members, pretty much. They wear their bling, and one of them has a dollar sign, a gold dollar sign necklace. Zootopia doesn't use the dollar sign. So right there, the dollar sign necklace, evidence of humans. And also in Mr. Big's place, they have a cross. Christianity, they have religions as well, just like in Robin Hood. But then again, it was a play portraying what actually happened. This piece of evidence might be my favorite. It's very, very subtle. If I have amputated fingers, let's say I'm missing 2 fingers, and I hold up all of my fingers that I have available, what number am I trying to tell you? If somebody's missing a hand, and they hold up both hands and hold up as many fingers as they can, they're probably trying to say 10. And that leads us into a scene where Nick Wilde is talking to Chief Bogo. He says, "You gave her the 24 hours, so technically we still have 10 left." And he holds up 8 fingers, but those are all the fingers that he has. He holds up all of his fingers and he says 10. Holding up all of your fingers, meaning 10, is a human gesture. So Nick Wilde isn't just bad at counting his fingers. Probably the most obvious one, and that's the fact that everything is a parody off of humans. Same thing in the Cars franchise. Judy's phone brand is a little carrot with a bite taken out of it in the same style as the Apple logo. The music that they listen to, they have the Beagles, Canine West. We have Duke Weaselton, who's selling a bunch of pirated bootleg parodies of normal Disney movies. And they're all parodied to be like animals. Just like the Cars, the longer they're away from humans, the more they want to kind of change and adopt this culture so that it matches their own more. In Cars, there's a bunch of car vehicle parodies of normal human brands and stuff. Trust me, we'll get there eventually, but humans existed before the Cars did. We can see this pattern in actual history. When the Romans took over, they kind of adopted the Greek gods and just tweaked and changed them and almost parodied them to make their Roman versions. So with that in Zootopia, I mean, they're doing the same thing that societies have always done when adopting other cultures, is they put their own spin on it and they make it their own. A lot of the times for like national pride. Now, national pride is a good thing. It's good to be proud of where you come from and who you are and what your people are. It's not so good when species in your anthropomorphic world start to get knocked off the list. Zootopia is that final modern time where politics are involved with these animals, and it's brought to light through Judy and Nick how much genocide and prejudice has actually been happening since the animal kingdom has been anthropomorphized. We don't have any more fish. We don't have any more primates. We don't have any more birds. We don't have any more reptiles. Through the chronology of these movies, we see less and less of these species, from Bedknobs and Broomsticks all the way to Zootopia. In Zootopia, there's a blubber shop, which I guess isn't necessarily fish, more aquatic mammals. They use other animals for their food, which makes sense. I would kind of like to see a film theory video about the diet of Zootopia. They eat cake at Mr. Big's daughter's wedding. They have a blubber shop in Tundra Town. In order to make stuff like that, you need some animal ingredients. In order to make cake, you kind of need to use eggs. Well, I mean, you don't always have to use eggs. I mean, you can use other things. We still have predators who need protein. Let's just hope and pray that because it's a kids movie, hooved animals are not anthropomorphic, and for some reason they've regressed back to their feral lives. And so imagining a bunny milking a cow, that is what happens. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know a lot of Zootopia fans were maybe waiting on me talking about Judy and Nick and their relationship. I'm not going to talk about that this video. Watch some movies, eat your banana pancakes. We'll see you next time. Bye.